emphasis put on, say, the Bella Twins. I appreciate how they didn't crack under pressure and go the way of a Demi Lovato, who cracked under pressure within the first 1 or 2 years and 1 or 2 seasons of her show, Sunny with a Chance. So at least she didn't go the route of someone like a Dwayne Johnson or a Demi Lovato in the way of entertainment. It's just amazing, how some celebrities can kind of break and cave in for pressure. And these divas, with how much emphasis has been put on them as part of E's new Sunday lineup for the up-and-coming winter and heading into the spring of the year in 2015 by March or April, it's amazing how some of these divas can kind of cope with that pressure and not crack under pressure, refusing to cave in. So I really appreciate how Ava Marie is one of those divas who has not done that. And I really appreciate how she's kind of gone with the flow with Total Divas, waiting for her moment to break out and show fans what she's really capable of. We saw her wrestling on editions of Raw and SmackDown, promoting the first 1 or 2 seasons of Total Divas. There wasn't a great deal of emphasis put on her character. She got a couple of wins in there in 6 Diva tag team matches, but I think really what we need to see here for Ava is just the specificness of her being contracted to be a reality star, and in time, she's going to have to go the way of a Candice Michelle, a Kelly Kelly, or an Eve Torres, who slowly started competing within the first 1 to 2 years of her career. She's going to take time to go through that evolutionary process. She needs to metamorphosize into someone who can be taken more seriously, because she kind of puts me in mind of an Ashley Massaro and Christy Hemme, who broke more slowly into the business in 2004, 2005, the first 2 winners of the initial Diva searches, which were big in WWE, and it's beyond me why they don't still do the Diva search either on .com or on a live platform for Raw and SmackDown, because they could still be making millions and generating huge TV ratings, publicity from this. But the first 2 Diva search winners, Christy Hemme and Ashley Massaro, she kind of has that similar kind of Christy Hemme spunk, who can really go a long way in the professional wrestling business. She just needs to be put out there on a global forum, and she just really needs to be pushed in the way of, say, a Kelly Kelly or an Eve Torres, who've all gone down the route of being a reality television star, but I don't think they'll be as successful reality television stars outside of WWE as the majority of the Divas roster will be by the time we get to 5 or 6 seasons of Total Divas. And it all goes back to giving credit to someone like Ava Marie and JoJo, who are being introduced to the WWE fan base from a show like Total Divas, and they really got introduced in a big way from some of the comments they were dropping for the first few episodes of Total Divas on YouTube and the E! Network, and of course for seasons 1 through 2. They were kind of just there being introduced, and we just kind of saw how some of these newer divas, coexisted with the Bella Twins. If you throw yourself back to season 1, say, of Total Divas, it was just how they didn't really agree with divas like Ava Marie and JoJo just kind of showing up and doing what they did and offering what they had to offer out of the Divas division and the first season of Total Divas within the first few episodes of the show. How it differentiates itself, season 3 does, from seasons 1 through 2 of Total Divas. Ava Marie and JoJo, say, are fitting in more so than they did with the first season or the second season of Total Divas, and the other divas like the Bella Twins and AJ and Paige are more acceptant towards someone like an Ava Marie, who they necessarily weren't in the first few episodes of the show within the first season of the show. And there was a lot of criticism also that went with the show, because we had divas we had never been introduced to before previously, and it was supposed to be about, divas who had a great deal of experience, and they had the divas in there that had that great deal of experience. It was just, there was all this emphasis on these divas, and there wasn't enough emphasis on divas like Ava and JoJo, who kind of just showed up under contract with WWE. And now in season 3, since they've been introduced, they are coexisting more than they did from seasons 1 and 2 with divas like the Bella Twins and AJ and Paige, who have won the Divas Championship, who know what it's like to be on top, as opposed to someone like Ava Marie, who has never won the Divas Championship, and who is being looked at as someone now who is never going to be Divas Champion, because she doesn't have the total package, and there's a lot of pressure that goes with being the Divas Champion, which I can understand, because you have to defend it on tour, you have to be there all the time on editions of Raw and SmackDown, and you have to wrestle more than opposed to a diva who doesn't have the championship, like someone like Ava Marie currently doesn't right now. But to say she's never going to be Divas Champion, I think that we'll be kind of jumping to a conclusion, don't you think? I think I'm going to go ahead and give her the benefit of the doubt and say, if someone like a Kelly Kelly or an Eve Torres can win the championship 3 to 4 years within their career after going 6 to 7 years with the company in total. If someone like a Kelly Kelly can pull it off, definitely someone like an Ava Marie can pull it off, because she does have the skill. She just needs a lot of training to go with the skill she previously has acquired prior to coming on Total Divas seasons 1 through 2, and she needs a character that she can really run with. For instance, AJ's character is a character that I'm a really big fan of, because she had that psychoticness and this unpredictability factor that she was able to run with. WWE realized at the potential, making her more of an insane character, a more out there kind of character, a more spaced out kind of character. And not only did she become one of the more unpredictable characters within the Divas division, she became one of the more unpredictable characters in the entire WWE, because nobody knew when this proverbial switch, so to say, was going to be flipped on AJ. Nobody knew when this switch was going to give in and AJ was going to go absolutely nuts. And every time she did, nobody expected her to do it. You know, you kind of thought she was going to, but nobody expected her to do it in the way that she did. And I really got to appreciate that about AJ. Now we need something similar for someone like an Ava Marie. You can really run with Ava Marie's character and really do the best with Ava Marie's character, and I hope they recognize that potential before it's too late with her character, because time really is the most precious commodity when it comes to a wrestler's character or a diva's character. You have to have a great deal of time to really push that character, and I hope they recognize the potential that goes with Ava's character more so than they did in the previous seasons of Total Divas, and it seems like they have from some of the sneak peeks that I've seen of the show. I mean, they're emphasizing the relationship between herself and her husband, Jonathan, more. There's a lot of tension that you'll notice from episode to episode of Total Divas Season 3. You're going to notice some tension developing between the two Bella twins because of the storyline going on in the Divas division. I really appreciate how they've written that in to Total Divas Season 3 with the pressure that goes with being twins. In the wrestling business, there's a great deal of stuff you're going to see in Total Divas Season 3 you didn't see from Total Divas Seasons 1 through 2. Summer Rae is back as part of the cast. You have AJ and Paige kind of coming in there. They've taken out some of the divas like the Funkadactyls, who are not a part of Season 3 of Total Divas, so maybe this is a huge plus because we've had a lot of emphasis on the Funkadactyls. The Bella Twins are back and the focal point of the show, which you would expect because they were signed. They were brought back for the second half of their careers for Total Divas Season 3, and I can't stress enough how important the second half of a wrestler's or wrestlers' careers tend to be, either wrestlers or divas, because it really defines their characters and defines their legacies as entertainers and performers in professional wrestling, and that's what it's done for the Bella Twins. Even though they may have been brought back for Total Divas, the thing is, it really has defined their characters because they have gone on to win the Divas Championship. They've gone on to feud with one another. There's been so much done with the Bella Twins in the second half of their career. It's unbelievable. And I think we're going to see a great deal of emphasis put on Ava Marie coming up here in 2015, because one thing you have to keep in the back of your mind is it's only early in 2015 and there's still a lot that can be done with Ava's character. And yes, I'm a huge fan of Ava's character because of that Christy Hemme spunk, who she resembles divas like Ashley Massaro, Stacy Keibler, and Tori Wilson, although she's a long way away from being put in the same category of, say, a Tori Wilson or a Stacy Keibler. She will get there in time. All she needs is that fan support, and she is getting it with the millions of subscribers she has on her Facebook page and the millions of followers she has on her Twitter at Ava Marie. And the reason is because of this reality show. It's not because of what she's offered as a wrestler on NXT or Raw and SmackDown, which she could potentially be offering down the road. It's because of the reputation that Total Divas has given her, along with divas like JoJo, who we have never heard tell of or seen in action before. The good thing about Ava and JoJo is at least they tried in the first season of Total Divas to put them on Raw and SmackDown. They just kind of took a step back and realized, it's too soon to have you guys wrestling against people like Paige, who Ava has wrestled against before, looked impressive in the ring against on times, but not impressive enough. And I'm really appreciative of how creative kind of took a step back with Ava's character, because she really needs time to come into a developmental process and an evolutionary process, which is really critical. She needs to introduce herself to the fans in a way that a diva has never introduced herself before, in the way of an AJ or a Paige, and she needs to be put in a category that separates herself from an AJ or a Paige entirely, and she needs time. She needs a couple of years to develop her skills. If you can give it to Kelly Kelly, if you can give it to Eve Torres, if you can give it to someone as far out there as a Candice Michelle, you can easily give it to someone like Ava Marie, and on a scale of 5 stars, a potential 5-star scale rating, you can easily rate it at least 4 to 5 stars, taking 1 star off of because I'm kind of uncertain of the direction of Ava's character and where she's going to go. But yes, I'm a huge fan of Ava's character in WWE. That's why I blogged about her before on this radio show, and while I'll continue to blog about her throughout 2015, at least until we get to a point where WWE realizes the potential that goes with her character, which I can't stress enough is a lot of potential. She can be good on the microphone. She can be good as a manager or a valet. Something interesting about Ava's character is in the first season of Total Divas, she said she really wanted to be a Fandango girl in the way of a Summer Rae or previous divas who have fit into that role, like a Rosa Mendez. And I really think she could have done that, but the issue that I had with her wanting to be a Fandango girl was she had so much talent. I think she could have really reached out further in WWE because of that potential that went with her character, kind of just putting her there in a Fandango role, would kind of be just putting her out there on television and giving her something to do that really wouldn't have made her stand up. She's one of those divas that can go a long way, probably even further than a Summer Rae or a Rosa Mendez. I remember all the issues they had with Rosa Mendez, and how they couldn't come up with anything for her character. Nobody knew what to do with her from one minute to the next. They were changing up her gimmick like you were changing your socks every day, so to speak. I know that may sound a little bit metaphorical, but they were kind of changing her gimmick from one day to the next, one week to another. It was a different gimmick, a different persona for Rosa Mendez. She started wrestling after they tried a first gimmick for her that really didn't pan out. The wrestling thing didn't work for her. She didn't become Divas champion. They took her off television. They complained about her weight. She lost all the weight. They still couldn't do anything with her. And now, what they're doing with her now is they're giving her a role of being a Fandango girl, and we're kind of just sitting back wondering how long that is going to last. And I think that Ave Marie has a lot more potential, and she's in an entirely different category than a Rosa Mendez or a Summer Rae. It's not that Summer Rae doesn't have potential, it's just she's not being pushed. And until